Great, folks. Let's welcome in the great Orestes Destrade. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Look at that. Okay, yeah.
Get that thing. Yeah, you want to get that thing.
Let me get that thing out of the way so that I can be seen. Hello.
It moves all different ways.
Yeah. So basically,
I even have you. I have a solo shot of you too. We get them. See, there you are. That looks good.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Now you can look right into it. Now you can look right. There you go.
There you go.
See, you can't see it.
All that I know is that I don't think my family in the Tampa Bay area goes to.
Right there.
We got this one.
This one right there.
I'd rather do this one.
There you go.
There we go.
I didn't know where the cameras were.
We got them everywhere, bro.
Your producer.
Some in the bathroom.
Then you can replay that. You can replay that. I did wash my hands. But my family does not go back to the 1800s in Tampa Bay. I don't believe so.
But your Cuban heritage goes.
My Cuban heritage goes back to Santiago de Cuba in 1800s, probably.
My grandfather
and France.
My grandfather was a doctor and was in the army medical with Patton in North Africa. Wow. Yeah, the Fifth Army. But when he got back, he bought a sugar plantation in Cuba.
How about that?
Yeah, our family. Yeah, I'd sure like to have that back. By the way,
they're not giving it back. They're not giving it back to you just yet. We're working on that.
Are we working on that?
We're working on getting stuff back.
The D'Amelio family would really like our sugar. Castro just kind of took
everything.
He took everything,
including a crap load of ball players too. That had trouble getting out, and then they've been, little by little, like rare Cohiba cigars, get out. And get signed for a lot of money.
We went down there in was it 2018?
2016.
Was it 2016?
Yeah, because I was just talking to somebody about that. Because the documentary that I did for Fox LA that year was in 2016.
2016. Yeah. Wow, that was an eye opener for me.
Yeah,
landing in Havana, driving through the streets. I remember when we first got off the plane, and we're driving through the streets of Havana, and it was wow.
Yeah,
talk about poverty.
You know the story of how I didn't go on that trip, right?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
I totally forgot. I brought up a bad.
No. So it was.
Way to go, JP.
It goes to show you the regime that still governing over there. So I had done 3 WBCs for ESPN, and the last one I think was 13 or 9. Was in. I was doing Japan round, Puerto Rico, and then some sideline stuff on the championship games. So there was a 3-man booth with myself, Oral Hershiser, and the great Gary Thorne in Puerto Rico.
Oh, love Gary.
Cuba, Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico game.
Mm-hmm.
And Gary happens to ask me, so if you were never, if you hadn't gone out and your parents snuck out when you were 6 years old, what you probably would have played with a national team. What would you have done? I go, I would try to sneak out like everybody else. I would try to escape.
Yeah.
Firstly, to escape the regime, to escape to not get a chance to be free and play at the highest level in the major leagues, and also then try to get my family out. So that was that. That was on ESPN in the booth. And years later, Fox asked me to narrate and also be a great big part of this feature, which is a documentary that came out concurrently as the Rays were going to Cuba. And so we're in Miami filming. So I agreed to go. I didn't want to go. I'll be honest with you. They came to me in November 2015, and I said, I can't go. And I go, in my heart,
the Rays?
No,
Fox.
Fox LA.
Yeah.
And I said, I'll narrate and I'll do it, but I don't want to go to Cuba because I want to go to Cuba after both Fidel and Raul have passed away. That's kind of like my thing.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So I went and they were like, we really want you to go. And they pretty much put the screws on me. And I said, oh, I'm understanding what you're saying. Like you need
Yo
to go.
comprende.
Yeah. Yo comprende, yo comprendo. And I'm going to Cuba. Cried with my parents, and because they knew how I felt about when I wanted to go to Cuba. I agreed to it. And here we go to Cuba. We're leaving in February. We're going before the team was going.
Right.
Team went in March.
Right.
We're filming a bunch of stuff with Tony Perez and Cookie Rojas, my parents. I think I've sent you the video. Maybe I haven't, but I'll send it to you. It's called the Behind the Veil Cuba baseball, story. And you can see it on Vimeo. And long story short, we're at a Panera Bread. We had just filmed, I think, Cookie Rojas at Miami at Marlins Stadium. And we're going to another site to go film. So we with the crew. We're leaving for Cuba the next day to get all the footage down there. It's me, 7 people from LA with a producer, all Americans, right?
Big time, yeah. It's big time stuff.
Big time stuff. I'm the only Cuban-born person.
Right.
We're sitting in Panera, and all of a sudden there's a call from our Cuban contact, and they said, put Orestes on. The guy tells me, they're not giving you a visa to go. You're not allowed to go. The producer go get the camera. So he wanted reality TV.
Hell yeah,
and
smart.
He's got me in the thing talking about how, getting the news that because of what I said on ESPN,
wow,
they just wanted to slap the only Cuban-born person in the crew, and they didn't give me the visa. So I didn't get to go to Cuba, which in turn, was I still haven't gone to Cuba since I was 6 years old, and I'll go when I know their road cast was passed. But it was emotional because I went
you were
going to Cuba, I'm going back to where I was born.
Yeah.
And
probably
literally
had some plans to
see I have a, now she's passed away, but an aunt. Most of my family have gotten out, but an aunt and an uncle and cousins. So I was excited at that point. This was November. I didn't want to do it. By February, I'm like, okay, look, we're going tomorrow. Like tickets in hand. Right. And they slapped me on the wrist.
Remember my partner at the time, Ron Diaz.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let him go either.
They wouldn't let him go too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but with my deal was supposedly they found out that it was my frankness of telling what I would do.
So I ended up going, and as far as I can tell, we were the first non-censored broadcast.
Oh wow!
Out of Cuba since 1959.
Wow.
There was nobody. There was nobody
around.
Normally, when obviously there were tons of news crews that have gone down there.
Right.
But every time you go down there, you would have a chaperone.
Sure.
And they would be listening to you.
And they would
what you say.
And they would take your film or
censor,
whatever.
Yeah, if they didn't like what you were saying, they would censor.
Yeah. And it's interesting you say Ronnie because Armando. Ron Diaz is that, and his real name is Armando, but and my son's name's Armando, so I'm always calling him Armando. But he, because he said a lot of, critical things.
Yeah. So it's spot on, by the way.
100%. So
he was.
I love him.
He was crushed.
He was crushed.
He was crushed by that.
He was probably more crushed. I talked to him around that. He was more crushed than I was. I was crushed because it was like the very next day we were leaving, so it was like weird. I think Ronnie was crushed in the overall picture of he really wanted to see Cuba.
Well, he wanted to represent it, and that was taken away, and it's sad. It was sad. He was crushed.
Terribly sad, and that's why they did it. I think they knew,
of course,
what they were doing to kind of.
And they were, they were very nice to us. Nobody was in our booth.
Yeah,
nobody. I'm sure there were people listening.
We were, of course, there were.
We were, and I remember, basically what I said is, there's been a lot of strife and many lives lost over this, this revolution and everything else. I wasn't super critical, but I wasn't trying to get thrown out of the country either. But I wanted to be
reporting.
I wanted to be a little bit of frank, and also speak of the hospitality where there was fantastic. The people of Cuba are amazing.
Of course.
I went to, and we'll get to the race here in a little bit, but I took a day and I just went by myself to Old Havana.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to experience it as best I could the local flavor and everything. So I'm going through the streets, and street vendors are coming up to, oh, you want some cigars? You want some things? You want to buy this? You want to buy this? And I said, what I really want is some authentic Cuban cuisine.
Right.
And this one guy who's, I guess they're runners or whatever,
Yeah.
he's like, come on, come to my family restaurant. He says, come to my family restaurant. And I'm like, seemed like a really nice guy, I'm like, okay. So I did.
You literally went.
So first place I went was Hemingway's.
Right.
Where Hemingway used to have the rum on the rocks,
right,
and the music was just amazing. It was just open air, old Havana place, and it was packed in the middle of the day, and we're drinking Havana Club rum on the rocks with a couple of lemons. What I still drink today, I love it. It's my favorite. And it was just the most amazing thing. And the music is just incredible. Everywhere you go, there's music. Yeah. There's just music everywhere. Breakfast, there's music. It's beautiful. And so so this guy's, just follow me. And I go, okay. So he takes me in this building, and I'm like going up this staircase. I'm like,
okay, what am I getting? What am I getting? What am I getting into here?
The best meal of my life,
or you're
dead.
Yeah.
And so we get to the top, and it opens up in this beautiful rooftop restaurant,
like a veranda,
overlooking old Havana.
Nice.
And there's these two guys playing guitar.
No way, dude.
It's just unbelievable. They're playing with the nylon guitar, and one of them's got 5 strings, the other one's got 4.
Yeah.
They can't even afford the full string the guitar.
No doubt.
And they go into this Stairway to Heaven thing.
No, man.
And I have it on video. I get shows this thinking of, and they're so freaking good. And there's about 10 tables on top of this house and restaurant, and it's just beautiful. And the lady brings out the food, and I was like,
you never told me this story.
Oh my God, it's so. I got pictures. I'll show you the video.
This is phenomenal.
And I was like, I told you, and I said, the guy, just sit down and eat with me. Just sit down and eat with me. He's like, sure. So he sat down and ate when it's a cousin owned the restaurant.
Right.
It was the greatest meal I've ever had in my life. And the music on this beautiful spring day overlooking old Havana, and I'm just getting plowed. I stayed there for like 3-4 hours just eating and drinking. My bill's like $20.
This is like
insanely good.
What was the
it was great. I did think there was a moment there I thought I was going to die.
The guy that ended up passing away, I guess he committed suicide, Bordeaux or whatever.
Yeah.
He had that
suicide.
Yeah, exactly, quote unquote.
Yeah.
He had that one show I used to love to watch. I still kind of watch it. It's called No Reservations.
Yeah,
where you go to like
places
unique
like that.
Places. Oh. Yeah,
one of the greatest days of my life, man.
Outstanding. What a great story.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Anyway, we digress into Cuba, but it definitely ties to baseball. So.
It'll be so nice someday. Hopefully, they can open.
I can't wait, and I'm eagerly awaiting it. And when Raul goes, I'm going.
And when I get my family sugar plantation back,
you go,
right there,
then you'll be right.
Then I'll invite you
over and you'll hire those guys to play.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk a little Rays baseball here.
1.5 games out there.
1.5 games. Did you see this renaissance coming in the middle of the season when we started so poorly? This offense was just dreadful because there was no J-Lo in there.
No.
There was no.
Well, day one, he got hurt.
Yeah,
so
there's
that
no
hurt.
Chandler Simpson. There was no. And then Morel and Meade are just struggling. And last night I look at the Meade's in the 2-hole, Morel's in the 4-hole.
Yeah.
And if these guys are going to play, I get it. They're trying to trade him, trying to get some value for Morel. Why is he in the 4-hole? Like why? And Aranda's in the 6-hole. Like I don't. Some of these lineups just boggle my mind.
The lineup thing is a curious deal, and there's no doubt that the Rays, I would say San Francisco, Toronto, a little bit Fonz their 1-2 guy, right? With not messing with Bichette and obviously Junior. So, but everything else they kind of mess with a little bit. Springer obviously is having a good year too, so he's in the mix there in the 1-2-3. But the bottom line with the lineups is they really use, and I have to agree with some aspects of. I'm not a huge sabermetrics guy, but there is some mathematical, sense
method to their madness.
Yes, that does make sense. You want to get your best couple of hitters in 1-2. I think with Meade, I gotta figure that he can be going down soon. Maybe it was just kind of
with Kim coming back.
Yeah, with Kim coming back, he has to be the odd man out. With Morel, I think, you know, you're looking at maybe showcasing a little bit to see if they can make a trade. You know, because I could see him going somewhere because you can't send him down. So you can't bring Kim up and you know, an option down Morel. So you're in a situation right now where, but I will say this team, the original question you asked, I didn't see this. I didn't see Jonathan Aranda having such an incredible all-star caliber year. Didn't see that. Didn't see Magnum being this good.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. And
even Mangum has at 29 years old
phenomenal
to come up after 10 years in the
exactly.
League, yeah.
And be such an like almost a little, not a 4-tool player because he's not really a pop guy, but a strong 4-tool player, switch hitter.
Yeah.
You know, hits well from both sides.
Great speed
out of the didn't see Caballero having 29 stolen bases at this point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And Junior having 21 home runs at the break.
I did see that.
You did see that?
100%.
21?
I mean, I saw him having 40 home runs this year.
Wow.
So we're at the halfway point.
Yeah.
We've already passed the halfway point. So honestly, 20 at this point, I'm not surprised. I saw Junior hitting 40 home runs. I think Junior Caminero is going to be hitting 40 home runs for the next decade a year. So this is a guy that is a superstar in the making. He's a guy that could end up with 400 plus home runs in his career. You know, an Adrian Beltre type of, you know, presence. The biggest problem with him that I see is just staying in shape, not getting too heavy, not getting too cocky about how good he is, and you get a little bit. You know, we saw that.
There's no way he goes Wander Franco.
He doesn't go Wander Franco, but he could go. You know, even though Miggy Cabrera ended up with, you know, one of the greatest, you know, right-handed hitters in the last 40 years, he got heavy, and he could have stayed in better shape. And I think you could have seen him have 3,500 hits.
Right.
He was that good.
Yeah.
But the weight, you know, pushed him to first and pushed him to not be as. So that's kind of where I see Caminero being. But the other thing I'm going to tell you that has been the biggest, the pitching it's sensational. Not really surprised. You know, Taj Bradley is about what he is. He's hot one day, cold the next. Shane Baz, I think, has got one of the most dynamic arms of the whole staff.
Yeah.
Effortless. Sans, Shane McClanahan, healthy.
Yeah.
That's it. But effortless and having all the stuff, I think he's the best of all of them.
Yeah.
Rasmussen's story with 3 surgeries is phenomenal. And I really push, you know, I'm push for that kid to be successful and a great human being. And then the other 2 righties and, you know, and Ryan and Littell are above average and can stick it to you. But the one offensive guy that I think we're forgetting that you know, the 2 that really bring it together is the years that Brandon Lau has been having.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Consistency.
Exactly.
That's not always been his issue.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
And he's been darn consistent after a little shaky start. Then he's just been boom. And, you know, he's just committed like RBI, homers, key hits, key homers, key at bats the other day with like 11, pitch at bat.
Maybe not playing on that hard turf at Tropicana Field is helping him out.
Maybe. I didn't think about that.
We talk
it
about
beats up on the body.
Oh,
so
God,
and then you're, you know,
I say this all the time. Kyle Tucker literally says every time he plays in the Trop, he has to ice his knees for an hour after.
Really? Yeah. Well, I played at 3 Rivers and that was stone cold Steve Austin stuff right there.
Those turfs were horrible.
Yeah, that was that ruined careers. You know, you could think of.
So maybe this helping Bilal playing outside,
and then Yandy turnaround because Yandy really had a horrendous April.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I think he just signed that extension and he's cashing in. Bro, I was terribly wrong.
Yeah,
because he's been at about a 380 clip since May.
Yeah.
And legit 380, driving in runs, hitting for power. Those 2 guys, when you add the dynamic youngsters, we forget Chandler Simpson.
Love that kid.
What's not to love? You know, is now gives you because that's what I think was missing all along. I still think they need that one other pro, you know, thumper.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
possibly
I agree.
to push you into October.
Yeah. The guys
or to
that
play in October
come up with huge at bats
Yeah.
against you know
Yeah.
those showdowns in the postseason with the
are
with
massive.
the
Bright
A,
lights, big city,
you know,
and those kind of come down to some key guys. You know, every now and then you know you get some youngsters that surprise you and push you forward, but it's key veteran hitters, key pitchers. You know, you got to have at least 3 that you know.
and we
that you
need a
can
little
handle
back
ball.
end of the bullpen too.
Back into the bullpen, I think, is imperative.
Yeah,
because I think the team is missing that. As far as you know, set up, you know, hold 'em guys. I've got full confidence on Fairbanks, but it's you know kind of leading up to that. It's about the only kink that I would say on the team right now.
All right, we got some comments coming in. Jeff Stutler was in early. He wanted to remind you that he said, Orestes, good morning. I used to see you at the Trop and always had a big ring on my hand. I accidentally called you Eduardo the first time I met you because of Eduardo Perez. He said, even though I knew your name, I also saw you at Ferg's on Sunday, and me and my dad talked to you sitting outside at the bar. So
very nice. Yeah. Eduardo and I have quite the history. And firstly, my history with the Perez family is as of his father was my idol growing up because he was
one of mine too. I was big red machine.
Well, you're a big red machine. Well,
I got this signed big red machine poster in the other room there.
Oh, really?
All the guys at
from
Three
that era.
Rivers, just the bench squat down in front, and the infield and the outfield. Yeah.
No, and the tie to Cuba because I was a first baseman, Cuban-born player. There was none greater for us than Tony Perez. You know, he was the greatest RBI man in history. Well, So Eddie and I became fast friends when from a long time ago.
Well, I was a young cub reporter when Eddie was playing for Florida State.
Okay,
so he was my go-to guy. Stick a mic in his hand,
and he's got a good.
He was so good.
Yeah, he's like me. So he's not at a loss for words.
No, he's outstanding. So yeah, that's a great time. Jeff says he loves the Big Red Machine. He also mentioned this. He said, Three Rivers story, Barry Sanders made Rod Woodson twist into the turf, tore his knee up.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. That turf was awesome. You played with Bobby Happy Bobby Bonilla.
Happy Day. Bobby Bonilla Day today.
1.1 million, yeah.
Yeah.
You played with Bobby and
I
Barry
played
Bonds?
with Barry. I lockered in between Bobby Bowe and BB and Barry Bonds. So we were all very, very close. Still are. I mean,
that team was. Who else was on that team?
Doug Drabick won a Cy Young there a couple years after I had gone off to Japan because I wasn't getting a chance to play every day. I was on the team. I was glad to be in the big leagues. But Andy Van Slyke was one of the best center fielders in the game at that point in time. LeCavier was the catcher.
The catcher, Mike Lavaglia, and squatty guy.
And he, man, what a gun, what an arm. Chico Lind at second base. We had Bell at short. That's
right. Bell was at short. Yeah, what a team.
Yeah.
What a squad.
It was a good team. And great pitchers. Bob Walk, Dave LaPointe, obviously Dougie,
how far did you go?
John Smiley. We finished second to the Mets that year. The Mets won
no wild card back then.
No wild card. No. So the Mets won the East.
Yeah.
And we finished second.
What year was that?
I went off. That was 88. And I went off to Japan the next year.
Yeah. Conquered Japan.
But I will say Barry Sanders, that reminds me, I remember when wasn't the game on Monday Night Football where he had 2 80-yard touchdowns?
Yeah.
And in one of them, when he turned back, talking about injuries, the Woodson, Chidi Hanatu tore his shoulder.
Yeah,
trying to tackle.
Oh,
him.
That's right.
You remember on that play?
Yeah,
like he turned on him and he got him going backwards and he dislocated his shoulder. I'll never forget that.
That was a Monday night game, wasn't it?
I believe it was a Monday night game where they set a record of 280.
And one of those plays, John Lynch was like in the hole, but the hole was a little bit too wide.
He came up. And he was like, "I'm not going to be able to corral." Johnny Lynch, former Marlin, by the way, for a minute.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
first round draft pick.
I think he was the first pick.
Wow.
Yeah, he might have. Well, I mean, not the first.
He was a pitcher.
It
right?
was a supplemental draft, so it was just 2 teams, picking. So
was he a pitcher?
He was no. He was an outfielder, I
outfielder?
think, but he barely played. I think he played one summer and then he went back.
Said, I'm going to go kill people.
Yeah, the funny thing about him is that he went back to Stanford, right? So he just played one summer. I played with a guy from Stanford one summer, locker next to him too, and we became fast friends by the name of John Elway in Oneonta, New York.
Holy shit.
So I played with
John. Drafted by the Yankees.
When he got drafted by the Yankees, I was 19 years old. He was going back to.
He was a first round pick in both sports.
He would have been a stud in baseball. He was that good. He had 318 that year. He left a little early because he had to go back to the camp.
Yeah,
they were starting their football.
So
practice.
You played with Elway too.
I lockered next to Elway and next to Bonds. Go figure, dude.
Holy
Come on now.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll come back on the other side. We'll get into a little bit more around Major League Baseball. I want to talk about Cal Raleigh. And all kinds of MLB stuff. You guys got questions about the Rays, MLB, put them in the comments, and we'll hit with the big questions here. We are brought to you by the great folks at Don'tGoUncovered.com. Don'tGoUncovered.com. If you don't have health insurance, folks, you got to get it. You got to get it. And find different ways to get it for you. It may not be as expensive as you think. Let them do all the work. You save all the money. Don'tGoUncovered.com. Find out if they can find some health insurance that is affordable for you. Don'tGoUncovered.com. Back at 3. JP here for Riveters, the official sports bar and grill of the JP Peterson Show. We're located just south of Ray J and Steinbrenner Field, so it's a great pre- and post-game spot, and the happy hour is amazing. Monday through Friday, 3 to 7. Check out these specials. $3 Bud Light drafts, $4 domestic bottles, $5 wells, $6 premium wells, $6 cocktails like margaritas. That's unheard of. And the Riveters food is freshly made daily. No freezers. Happy hour food specials include $3.50 tacos and barbecue sliders. $6 you get edamame or chips with the beer cheese, which is amazing. $8 buffalo chicken dip, my favorite. The truffle fries, chili cheese fries, also $8 at happy hour. As well as other specials throughout the week, including Taco Tuesdays, you get $3 tacos, and Wing Wednesdays, 7 o'clock to 1 a.m. in the morning, you get our amazing wings, 5 for $5 and $5 wells and wines. That's a good Wednesday night. So if you're tired of the preppy, overpriced, generic sports bars, come see the amazing, friendly bartenders and staff at Riveters, where customer service really matters. Riveters, just south of where the Rays and Bucks play. We'll see you there. Going through a medical emergency without health care insurance can cause you to go into crippling debt. In most scenarios, people are forced to either break into their retirement funds or worse, they're forced to file for bankruptcy. The sad truth is that health care insurance is crucial in today's day and age. Look, I get it. Many of you think you're never going to get sick and health insurance is really expensive. Well, we can help you out with that. Depending on your income, we can find great plans and huge discounts. God forbid you get cancer, a car accident. It could literally ruin you financially for life. So make the call and find out. Even though the open enrollment period is over, you may have some qualifying life events that can help you get covered right away. It can be very complicated, a very intimidating process, but we can help. Go to our website and check out all the 5-star reviews about our helpful agents. Go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. That's 800-669-1505. Spring means a time of renewal and Rays baseball, and the folks at Italiano Insurance want to welcome the Rays to Tampa and remind you it's time to renew those insurance policies with the now famous Italiano Insurance Checkup. Let the experienced and friendly agents shop your policy for the best price and coverage. Famous for saving me over $1,000 on our auto insurance last year and over $500 on our homeowners. Now that's a grand slam. Might as well get a double play by adding flood insurance and business insurance to your portfolio. Costs less than you think, and trust me, you do not want to risk your home or personal wealth. That's a big whiff. So step up to the plate and call 813-877-7799 and chat with the all-star agents at Italiano Insurance. 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Go Rays! JP here for my friend Jason Fawcett, owner of On-Site Construction. They do residential and commercial renovations and new construction. As a leading home builder and general contractor, On-Site Construction prides itself on transforming homes through superior craftsmanship, dedication to client vision, and an unmatched commitment to quality and service. It's about building relationships. We take the time to understand our clients' needs, preferences, and budgets so that we can deliver a personalized experience tailored to their unique vision. From the initial designs to the final touches, we're there every step of the way, ensuring that the end result mirrors your vision. Here are some testimonials from happy customers. G. Gibson says, no hidden costs, very honest, reliable, creative, and communicates well. Reasonable and fair with their pricing, no hidden costs. C. Smith said, did not disappoint. I'm very happy with the work. This company really cares and will take care of it. So if you're just thinking about building or renovating, give us a call and let's see what's possible. 813-579-5789 or check out our website at onsiteconstructionfl.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the show, brought to you by the great folks at Riveters. Go on over there and enjoy some of their great food. Happy hour today. Starts at 3 o'clock, goes to 7. So if you go to the Rays game, you guys over there and go to happy hour. $3 domestics, pregame night there, or you have to go $20 for a beer. At Riveters, great food. They had the fights on Saturday night. It was unbelievable. Oh, the great place to see UFC fights and everything.
How was that UFC thing? I didn't.
It was good.
I didn't.
It was
watch
good.
It.
Yeah, there was, and they had the Jake Paul fight on as well.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
So just so you guys don't think I'm talking shit, here it is.
There it is. There it is.
Hotel California. I thought it was Led Zeppelin, but it was
The Columbia restaurant in Ybor has nothing on that right there.
No,
that is authentic as you can get, dog.
There's the rooftop
Come on.
restaurant. Look at that. That's so cool. Just look like that. And it's just somebody's home. You know, that at that point they were letting folks, and there's my man Umberto, who said, come on, come to my house. I said, all right. So we're smoking cigars.
Can you believe that he did that?
So come to my I thought I was gonna die. Cigars, rum.
Yeah,
it's like,
Cuba's
you want to buy
not
the
like
rum?
That, Cuba's not.
No, that's what people told me. It said that
It's
it's super safe. There's another.
That is so
These guys
cool,
were
bro.
so freaking good. And one of them had like 4 strings on his guitar.
Yeah. It's called a bass.
No.
He doesn't know. Doesn't know, buddy.
I got one right behind me.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
God, they were so good. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the rest of the league. First of all, the Yankees.
Yeah.
What do you? I mean, here's the thing about the Yankees. Whatever it is they need,
Yeah.
they're going to go get at the deadline. And I don't know what they have in terms of prospects left to go make some deals. But where do you see the Yankees?
They've got some talent.
They do. Where do you see the Yankees and what they need?
Bottom line, what has been shown up for them in the month of June, sadly, if Judge doesn't hit, they don't win. If Judge doesn't hit,
Yeah.
they don't win. He went through a little bit of a June swoon, and they did not pick him up. You know, by that I mean, you know, the phrase of baseball picking up, like, you know, the other guys jump in there and score some runs, because they just went through a lull. They went through a lull. I mean, we're talking shutouts, 3 or 4 shutouts, 1 or 2 runs. They're picking it back up again. So what do they need? It's not so much that they need another bat, obviously, because what you hope is that Stanton starts waking up. He just showed up, right, after all the elbow issues and stuff like that. So he's back in the lineup, which is a little bit tricky because he's a 20-something million player a year, right? So you want to kind of take advantage and use him. Yeah. He's very impactful. He's Mr. October. There's no doubt that throughout his whole career, especially last year, he showed how good he is in the clutch. But you also have Ben Rice, who's actually been having talk about a Jonathan Aranda type year. Yeah. Ben Rice is crushing, and so now where do you put Ben Rice? You have a trio of Ben Rice, Goldschmidt, and obviously the monster in Stanton. That Stanton has to DH, and then the other two have to platoon at first. I don't platoon, Goldschmidt. I rest Goldschmidt every now and then, once a week.
Right.
So Ben Rice seems to be the odd man out. But they really need is a hammer third starter. They have 2 lefties that, if you look, and you scrutinize, how they're pitching. Sans, Carlos Rodon's walk issues, which he's got about 37 walks to 119 strikeouts, somewhere thereabouts, 100 and something. Other than that, those 2 lefties are hammer.
Yeah.
So that's 2 wins conceivably in playoff.
Yeah,
because I'm talking
against the
playoff.
Rays.
Yeah, especially against the Rays who struggle against lefties.
Yeah.
So you need that third one. It's definitely not Stroman. I mean, the family, his wife, everything about him, Ryan Yarbrough, but I don't know if that's the guy. But serviceable during the season.
Yeah.
Serviceable during the season. And then, you got Warren and you've got
they're going to go get an A
Schmidt.
starter.
They're have to go get. But who's out there? I mean, Sandy Alcantara. You could possibly take a chance on him because he hasn't been the same since he's come back. But
you got to think that when he gets out of Miami, though,
maybe
he's gonna turn it up.
That could be interesting because that guy's dramatic.
Yeah,
so you need that starter. I like their bullpen. I think their bullpen is fine up and down, lefty righty mix. Even Williams is starting to, to be what he's supposed to be. And Luke Weaver has had a little bit of a hiccup here recently, but it was due to coming back from an injury. So the Yankees are legit. The American League is, I tell you what, it's ripe for the taking. There's nobody, the Rays could win it all in the American League. 100% hands down, they could win it all. Houston with their pedigree and history could win it all. And then Detroit's kind of the new kid on the block.
What do you think about the Tigers?
I think the Tigers are a very well put together team, and they play very good defense. They've got a couple of veterans now, that they've picked up, and then they've got hammer pitchers. I mean, Screwball is the best pitcher in the major leagues. I mean, if I got to win a game, good. Holy shnikey. Mean, he is, it's Randy Johnson-esque at times, the way that he dominates, he's that good.
This stuff is so good.
Yeah.
And he just mixes it up so much. Cal Raleigh hit his 33rd homer last night.
Did he hit his 33rd?
33rd, 6-2 win over the Royals last night. He catches every freaking
FSU
day. Yes.
You love this kid.
3rd round pick. I mean, the Rays have just not, Jansen's playing well, but they've just not been able to. It's the curse of Buster Posey, man.
They cannot have a catcher.
They just can't draft a catcher. No. They can't get a guy like this. There's Cal Raleigh, another guy right in their backyard.
Right there.
Third round pick. And, he struggled a little bit, 220s in the minor, but whatever he found. He found it. He found it, bro. And
Switch hitter.
Best, maybe the best defensive catcher in the league or one of top 5. And he's hitting like this. Holy my cow. Lord.
No, I love his backswing. If you ever watch his swing, being a former hitter, I really scrutinize the mechanics of swings, and he finishes so ridiculously strong. So he'll finish, and you'll get that little extra pump, and I think it gives him an extra 5 or 10 feet on some of the blasts. Some of them are no doubters, but I love his aggressive swing. My favorite swings right now in the league are Cal Raleigh. Obviously, if you watch Caminero swing and you really study it, aggressive. Ozuna is another one that has that type of a swing. Schwarber and Harper have those. I love those finish swings because kids tend to stop their swings a lot, and I say kids, I'm talking about the amateurs. And even when they get to pro ball, they're kind of lifting their head up and looking at the ball when you should be
driving it through,
finishing through, doing the Freddie McGriff, And this kid is something else. I don't know if he's an MVP.
He's the MVP. Well,
come on.
Listen to these numbers.
What?
Switch hitter.
Are you kidding me?
Leads the American League. And
you see how easy he just went right away? He's the MVP.
71.
FSU.
Okay. He leads the AL in slugging percentages from both sides of the plate. 763 from the right side.
That is pretty
600
impressive.
From the left.
That is pretty impressive.
On the last day of June, Raleigh's shot gave him the 3rd most home runs before August by any switch hitter in Major League Baseball history.
He catches.
He catches.
Which is
every freaking day.
That's why you have to consider
yes, that. Yes, right? That's part of it.
If he gets to 145 starts, which is real, that's
for a catcher. It's
that's
insane.
Monster. That's monster. Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So his and what Shohei's doing.
What was the last MVP catcher? Pudge?
Danny Intern Danny. That's
Yeah.
what we just throw stuff out.
Yeah.
Last MVP. Oh, that's a good call.
I think it's a good call.
Yeah, Pudge.
Because there's not been that many MVP catchers.
I'm trying to think. Buster Posey. The
Buster.
Buster Posey.
Yeah,
yeah.
why we even forget about Buster? We just mentioned him. Yeah. I could
Buster.
say, and when was that? How long ago we're talking?
2012.
Yeah, so it's been
before
it's
that,
been a
it was-
minute. I bet you
was it
before that
Pudge?
was probably Pudge. I think Pudge won in the American League.
Who's Joe Mauer, 2009. Yeah.
The wonderful Joe. You got to look up. There's a TikTok on Joe Mauer that shows. Somebody just created it. How good he was in high school. He averaged 30 points in basketball.
Yeah, he's a quarterback.
Has the quarterback at the most.
I think Bobby Bowden recruited him.
Yeah, the dude was everything. He was a stud.
Yeah,
Joe Mauer was legit. All right, so we got a couple MVPs.
So now back to the Rays.
Yeah,
Shane McClanahan.
Ooh,
he's starting to do bullpens.
Yeah.
Do you bring him back as a 2-inning starter? What do you do with him?
I don't mind using him out of the pen. I don't mind doing the Ohtani, Dodgers opener scenario because he's not going to throw more than an inning at a time. So ease him in, and if anything, build him up. And where you really need him, unlike the Dodgers, that I don't think the Dodgers, because of their investment in Ohtani, are going to put a lot of innings and effort in him in October.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to hope that their guys are back. They're injured pitchers. The Rays might need to lean on him in October and try to get 5 innings.
You could use him in the back end of the bullpen.
You could use him in the back end. In fact, they've been having some struggles with would it be good for his arm to pitch 2 days later after throwing an inning? No, you still have to massage that. So that's the thing about the bullpen. You're not going to be throwing them back to back days.
No, certainly not. No.
That's out. But I actually like what the Dodgers are doing, which is giving him Ohtani enough rest to throw an inning in the third.
But they can do that because he's on the he already has a roster spot. Whereas you bring McClanahan back, you're going to use him for 2 innings or 3 at the beginning of a start. I mean, he's taking up a roster spot. So there's that. But you got to bring him back, obviously.
You got to bring him back, and you got to
build him up.
Because
if he can,
if he can get going,
he could get back
5 innings
for the playoffs and get 5 or 6 innings out of it.
Just 5. If I can get 5, I should, and we're talking elite 5 innings. Because if he's anywhere close to where he was, I mean, this guy was lights out, man. He was right there with Schoolball. If you think about it for a little while,
what about
throwing that nasty?
Yeah. And now what about Hassan Kim? Now,
love the kid.
I mean, he's hitting 198 in AAA. That doesn't matter, right?
No, what I'm worried about is how is he waking up every morning after 3 games in a row with his shoulder. That's all I'm worried about.
Yeah,
because he's gonna hit. I don't care if he's hitting $150 in AAA. It's just, how are you feeling? Are you pushing it because you want to get back, or are you hitting 150 or 198 because it's still injured?
It's still injured.
Because I'll tell you from history from Asian players that you're supposed to, you can play injured. You're not supposed to play hurt.
Mm-hmm.
They'll play hurt.
They push it.
They push the envelope, bro.
Yeah.
And they will just say, I'm supposed to be out there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go. And I don't know, so hopefully he's he's healthy. If he's healthy, so goodbye Curtis Mead, or trade Jonathan and Morel and start playing him at short and maybe even a little bit of second base. So he, to ease up his throws and stuff like that. But the bottom line,
Caballero and Walls have been playing so good.
They have been.
And they've actually been hitting too over the past 2 months.
I saw somewhere where Taylor Walls had 17 RBIs in the month of June.
Yeah.
That blew my mind.
Yeah.
Because that guy cannot hit.
I know. It's funny because
he can catch
suddenly
and he can pick it, but he is Mark Belanger reincarnated, bro.
We know who he is, Mr. 192. Yeah. Back in the day. Back in the day, remember we didn't mind. There were lots of shortstops that hit under 200. Ozzy hit under was low when he first
Well,
came up.
and then he became a better
really
hitter,
good hitter.
but they didn't care.
No. Back in the day,
Bud
that was
Harrelson and these guys were like incredible defensive players. Stick Michaels was one. And it was don't worry about it. Bucky Dent never hit. He just hit clutch a couple of times. In a
Bucky F and Dent.
So
absolutely.
But the bottom line is that Taylor Walls is an incredible defensive shortstop. But you just keep him around and you give him at bats. But you got to put Kim out there. Caballero is curious, man, because
I love his game. And he's so valuable with his versatility.
And what an outfielder. I mean, what an infielder. We knew that.
I know.
What an outfielder. I mean,
the speed.
This guy
leading the league in stolen bases last year.
How is that happening?
And he doesn't even play half.
I know.
But he's not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere. No, I wouldn't give him up.
No.
I would give up a bullpen arm and some minor league kid and Jonathan and
not Aranda.
Not Aranda. I mean Morel. Christopher Morel and go.
Does anybody want him?
I mean, I mean, he's not making a ton of money.
No, true.
So, unless you're just going to DFA him, because it's right around the corner. I mean, that's more realistic. But somebody might want him to package him.
Well, you're going to package him when you go get that power hitting outfielder, whoever he is.
I like O'Hearns from the Baltimore Orioles, but the Orioles now are like, they've made a little bit of a blip in the last couple of weeks, I think. And
would they trade him in division? You think? Sure, they would. If they get something what they want back.
Sure they would. It just depends how much they feel like they're done,
right?
But if the players are, I read an article just recently where they're like, they're pleading ownership, like we're going to make a turn. We're going to turn this thing around. This is around the time that players kind of plead to their ownership. Don't break up our team. But where are they? They're 37 and 47. They're 11 games out. They're 5-5.
I think they're 7 games out of the wild card.
Yeah, they're 5-5 in the last. They've won a couple.
That's the thing about the extra wild cards is the people think they're in it, but they're really not.
And they're really not.
They're really not.
Right.
Yeah.
So
you have to look at the pitching.
If I'm Baltimore,
you sell.
I sell and look till next year. You're not that far. You got some pitching injuries.
And what is he? What's he make? O'Hearn.
O'Hearn is 31 years old, and I don't think
what's his contract there.
Where we're at, I would have to say that he's probably more in
7 million, 7-8 million,
even less than that. Because I think he's in arbitration years, like first or second. Because it took him. He might have a little more years in the big leagues.
Yeah.
I think he might have 8 and 9 years in the big leagues already.
Yeah, that would fit nicely.
I'd like O'Hearn, because then you had
8 million.
You were right.
I nailed it.
You're right.
Nailed it.
You're good.
Nailed it. And we can, so that's not much salary to add. Even we can handle that one.
Can we? No, I'm just kidding. It's just the Rays. They're not notorious for adding salary,
but they could do
that. Of course they can. I'm being facetious.
Yeah, absolutely.
They can handle 10 million, 15 million in second half of the season.
They could. Will they? Right.
Yeah. I guess the question is, will they? Will they?
How can you not? With this pitching staff,
you're right there.
It's such a deficit.
You're
got
right
that.
there.
Morel's not going to do it for
you.
You're
right there.
And you got it. And that's
always... But here's the craziest question that I've got to ask. In all, I guess it probably has happened. It has to have happened. Okay. Has there been in the major 4 sports in America a team win the championship, whatever it is, Super Bowl, World Series, Cup, and actually the team be sold during that season or subsequently thereafter?
That is an interesting question.
Because when you win a World Series,
right,
you can't be higher on every aspect of the organization than you are.
Huizenga bailed the next year, didn't he? After they won a World Series? Or was it 2 years later?
No, it wasn't the next year. He won in 97. He bailed shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
You're right. I think that might be an interesting one because I actually Wayne invited me to a World Series game, and I watched it with him in the suite in '97. I had come back from Japan.
I think he sold it the next year because he was so sick.
He literally told me in a suite watching. Actually, it was the NLCS Championship Series against the Atlanta Braves. And there was 60-something thousand fans. He looked at me, he goes, "Oh," Wayne Senga told me, he goes, "You see all those fans? Where were they on a Tuesday afternoon when I had Alex Fernandez throwing, who I, paid a lot of money to bring, and, Kevin Brown and blah, 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 and all these guys that he had, right?
Right.
And he goes, "It's frustrating to me that now we, have to open up Joe Robbie for a playoff game." He goes, "This is a really fickle area for baseball.
Front-running area.
For baseball.
No, for everything. You got it in Miami. If you're not winning,
tricky.
And the stars aren't showing up, it's not the place to be.
That's a great point.
Then it's not. The Heat were nothing until LeBron showed up.
Yeah.
To be honest, I mean, they just
Shaq. They won with Shaq and Dwayne Wade.
But again,
that was a little Hollywood.
Yeah, it had to be. You have to have the stars, and you got to be winning. They're not going to support you through the down years. If the Hurricanes were bad, the Hurricanes, the only time anybody ever showed up at the Orange Bowl was when Florida State or Florida was there.
Yeah.
Any other game, it was 20,000 people.
Yeah.
Unless it was a big game.
Yeah, unless it was the Orange Bowl.
The
like
Dolphins,
Nebraska.
when they didn't have stars, they draw flies. It's a front runner.
We had 43,000 the first year.
Yeah.
Every game at
the Marlins?
93, the inaugural year, and then it went down to like 17,000.
But it's one of the things we've talked about is, people dog Tampa and Miami as a marketplace, but we've never done it right in either place. That Hard Rock Stadium or whatever it was, that Pro Player back in the day was just an awful place to see a baseball game.
Yeah. Well, Joe Robbie.
Yeah, it was just an awful place.
Oh, no, horrendous.
Yeah.
Not only was it a football stadium that was shaped, so it killed me as a left-handed power hitter, 370 down the line or whatever. But where it was on County Line Road, nothing around it.
Nothing.
So, see, the beauty of football.
And Wayne wanted to build Wayne's World, the first battery. Yeah. Remember back in the day, and they wouldn't support that.
Wayne's World in Miramar, Florida.
Yeah.
He showed me the diagram for that. It was a shame. Wayne was a visionary, obviously.
Yeah.
With Blockbuster and all that. By the way, did you find out of any owners that have sold?
I don't
on
remember.
The year that they won a championship.
Yeah.
That actually could happen here.
Yeah, you can imagine. And can you imagine, like, it's announced, new stadium, new ownership, and the team just goes on a run to the World Series. And then they move the freaking game.
And they play it in Miami. Only in Tampa Bay.
Only in Tampa Bay.
Holy shit.
They're going to do that, too, for the series and for the ALCS.
Yeah, not just the World. No, I think the ALCS. And they have to. To be honest with you, it's not like
They don't have to.
Yeah, they have to.
So here locally, the Texas Rangers sold in 2011 after they lost the World Series. I know that's what you're talking about, but yeah, that's
good one.
Yeah,
the Rangers sold after they lost but they didn't win.
They didn't win. Yeah,
it wasn't
that's a good one. But not many.
Definitely not an NFL team. That's never happened.
No.
Basketball, I'd have to go back and research it, but I don't think so. No, this could be.
It could be. So, now, the reason I tell you that they have to move the ALCS to Miami, they can't play it. I saw some article about maybe they'll play it at Raymond James.
No, you can't play it there.
You can't play it there.
No,
you can't. But it's because the revenuing from it goes to so many different, the players, so umpires.
This is what
so many people revenuing.
This is what you can do in Raymond James.
How do you get 40,000 people?
You can sell tickets to watch the game in Raymond James Stadium on a watch party and have a big freaking tailgate for the world. How about a football tailgate for the World Series? This is one of my crazy ideas. We sell.
It's not crazy.
We bring in some bleachers. We get up to 15,000.
You keep it in the family there across the street.
We have a big freaking tailgate. We have big stages over there. The players, they go, hour and a half before the game, they go do a little warm up
If the Rays play the Savannah Bananas in the ALCS, then they can play it at Raymond James Stadium.
I love it. I love that.
But the players come over, do a little warm up.
They could do a pregame Savannah Bananas.
Right. And if they win the game, they run over there, bus them over there. Then afterward, they do a couple laps and go high five the fans over there. It's crazy, I know.
Maybe if they lose to the Savannah Bananas play in the World Series against.
All right, great stuff, man. Thanks for coming in.
Against the Philadelphia Phillies. By the way, I'm picking the Phillies in the World Series.
Oh, you got the Phillies?
Yeah. I could go ahead and put it down.
Phillies
you didn't even play for the Phillies.
Winning. No, not winning, but going to the World Series. I haven't decided who's winning yet.
Oh, a rematch of the
I'm thinking the National League. I'm
2008 World Series, Rays and Phillies.
I think they have a combination of
no rain, please.
Of a lot.
No frozen rain.
And I can't